Hello and welcome to Inside Vancouver Public Schools. I'm Coleen Jamison. We have a huge show for you today. Nick Vole has the details of a levy that voters will decide upon in February. Tara Cox brings us the groundbreaking for a new building, and Amanda Richter shows us some holiday spirit. Plus, Elena Buller introduces us to an amazing high school senior and a whole bunch more on top of that. But first, let's do our top three. These are our favorite posts from social media. Number 3 comes from Harney Elementary, where these young learners are discovering one of the unheralded joys of reading, the smell of new books. They're in the library checking out the latest offerings and getting a nose full of those fresh pages. Here's number 2. It comes from Franklin Elementary, where construction projects are going on. You can see right there that students here are checking out the action in the new parking lot that they're building there. And as the caption says, bulldozers are cool. Pretty tough to argue with that. And we'll see more examples of bond projects coming up a little bit later on in the show. Our number 1 comes from Veterans Day. The Columbia River High School marching band braved the elements to march in the Vancouver Veterans Day Parade along Officers Row at the Fort Vancouver National Historic Site. A lot of smiles from all of those young musicians. And not to be outdone, Hudson's Bay Marching Band was there too. Both bands performed very well and are active around the calendar at local parades, often including the Rose Festival in Portland. It's a great example of the access kids have to art at every Vancouver public school. Vancouver voters will face a very important decision in February. The school district is asking for a supplemental levy to maintain its current level of services. There's a lot to consider, so joining us right now to break it all down is Nick Vole. Nick?
Community members have a lot of questions about this supplemental levy and how our schools are funded. So let's start with the big question: how did we get here? In 2007, Washington families sued the state, arguing that it was failing to adequately fund education, as it is mandated to do in the state constitution. The Supreme Court agreed in 2012, and the so-called McCleary decision forced the legislature to provide more money. After a lot of wrangling, finally, in 2018, the legislature came up with a plan to provide more state money to schools. As part of that plan, it limited how much districts could raise locally, capping levies at $1.50 per $1,000 of property value. In February of this year, under that new rule, Vancouver voters approved a $1.50 levy. So far, so good, right? The problem is that when you add in the cost of long-delayed and much-deserved raises for teachers and other employees, along with other rising costs, there wasn't enough money overall to preserve services.
We believe that our teachers deserve to be paid as professionals. We believe our clerical and professional staff and our maintenance teams ought to be paid in a competitive way. The state was failing to do that.
And Vancouver isn't alone in this problem.
What we found in 250 some school districts is the net result in terms of dollars to deploy programs and sustain positions and programs was insufficient.
Because of shortfalls in school districts across Washington, the legislature raised the so-called levy cap to $2.50, but that came too late for Vancouver public schools, which had been forced to run the levy at a lower rate. Facing the $14 million deficit, VPS was able to budget its way through this year with a one-time cash payment from the state, by dipping into its rainy day fund, and by making budget cuts in the central office.
Approximately $4 million of primarily administrative cuts have already been implemented, and we are not planning to restore those as a result of this supplemental levy. The idea that we could go deeper into that pool to achieve the 10.3 looming possible deficit, I think really puts the system in jeopardy of legal compliance. I think it puts the system in jeopardy of being responsive to the community.
So now, the district faces the choice of either asking for more levy dollars from the community or cutting just over $10 million from classrooms and elsewhere. Here's a look at the numbers. The proposed levy would collect $10 million in 2021 and a bit more than that the following 2 years. For property owners, that would be an additional 43 cents per $1,000 of assessed property value in the first year. That number would fall slightly in 2022 and 2023. For example, if you owned a $350,000 house in 2021, you would pay an additional $150. When you account for state and local school taxes, passage of this supplemental levy would bring the total bill for property owners for the cost of schools to $6 per $1,000 of assessed value. That is the same amount property owners were paying in 2017 before the McCleary decision.
We were very, very mindful of the fact that as a result of flawed policies by the state legislature, we did not want to put an undue excessive burden on our taxpayers. And so we were very, very pleased that we could sustain the core student-centric services that are at stake here without increasing the overall tax burden.
The levy election is on February 11th. It needs a simple majority to pass. To learn more about this complicated issue, visit vansd.org/levy. You can find out the consequences of not passing the levy, see what you'll pay, and a whole lot more.
All right, thanks so much, Nick. And for the fourth time in 10 years, Columbia River High School is a state champion in girls soccer. The Chieftains finished a dominating season the weekend before Thanksgiving by defeating Hawkinson. Let's start with the game-winning goal. With the score tied at 0 in the 57th minute, Yanisi Rodriguez punched in a free kick from 36 yards, which proved to be the difference in the match. River held on to win 1-0, putting a capper on a season that saw them go 21-1. This is the fourth straight semifinal appearance for River and their second championship in the last 4 years. The only loss they suffered came in the district championship, which forced them to win out on the road throughout the 2A state tournament. Their win got them on the cover of the sports section of the Columbian. The top 3 finishers in state all came from Clark County, with Hawkinson finishing second and Ridgefield coming in third. Here's a look at the team after its big win. Obviously, there are a lot of people who deserve credit for this big run, but the seniors are special with 2 championships under their belt in high school. Here's one of those seniors, Yanisi Rodriguez, who hit that winning shot. She had 5 of the team's 7 goals in their playoff run. It's time now for a Revitalizing Vancouver update, the latest on school construction projects paid for with your bond dollars. Another new school is on its way to students in Vancouver. This time, it's a replacement for Walnut Grove Elementary. Joining us now is Tara Cox. Tara, they've already broken ground.
That's right. It stopped raining just long enough for a ceremony, and the whole student body got to watch. As you can imagine, there was a lot of excitement. With a hearty cheer, a digger took a huge scoop of dirt in the field next to Walnut Grove Elementary. Students and staff stood by as the first ground was broken in the project to replace the aging current building. After the pros got their turn, student leaders and staff members buried their shovels in the dirt.
I think it's pretty cool that you get to be one of the people that are represented from your grade into digging a hole.
I got to experience something that not everybody gets to do.
I think it was very honoring because some people don't really get to do that all the time, and I think that it was very exciting to see that.
Bill Baird has been teaching here 19 years. Loretta Stewart has been here as a paraeducator since 1990 and was a PTA volunteer before that. They are both retiring this year and won't get a chance to work in the new building.
It's amazingly been a part of my life. It's hard to think about not coming here every day. So it's just kind of setting in here with me, and I'm so glad that they are building this new school, and I'm happy to come back and see it and do some volunteering too.
The school community knows that voters made this all possible.
Well, I think Vancouver's been a great community and very supportive of education, and whether it's the levy or the bonds, getting things that are best for the students and the community.
Oh, it's going to mean so much. It looks like it's going to be a fabulous building, and it's so needed with our numbers here in this building, and it's just going to be great.
The school construction should be done by the end of next year. The design includes a secure entrance and courtyard, more parking, a second story, about 40 classrooms, and a whole lot more. Back to you.
Thanks so much, Tara. And that's not the only new school coming soon. Check out this progress from King Elementary School. The old King was demolished this summer and the new building is already taking shape. You can see in these photos the bones of the building and the new entrance. Several new schools like Walnut Grove will be built next to the old building. At King, that wasn't possible, so students moved to the old Ogden building for this school year. They'll move back next year. If you want to keep up to date on construction projects, check out the district website. vansd.org/reschools is the address. You can get updates on current projects and see a schedule of what's happening in your neighborhood. If you're on Twitter, just follow the VPS Reschools account. That's at VPS_reschools. The VPS School Board is welcoming 3 new faces. In the November election, 2 empty spots were filled and a challenger defeated a longtime board member. Let's take a look. For position number 1, Kyle Sproul defeated 29-year incumbent Dale Rice. In position number 4, Kathy Decker narrowly won with about 52% of the vote. And for position 5, Tracy Barrows will assume the position after she won handily. Congratulations to the new board members, and thank you so much to Mr. Rice for his decades of public service. And as we say hello to new board members, the public had a chance to say goodbye to 2 board members who stepped down. Rosemary Fryer and Michelle Giovanosi said farewell at a ceremony at the Bates Center. Fryer had been a classroom teacher for years before running for office. Her focus was always making sure all kids have an equal chance to learn.
Well, when you're a classroom teacher, you're impacting only the students that you see every day. Being on the school board is so important because you are doing policy and you're enacting budgets that help all kids learn.
Fryer will now turn her attention to her other passions. As for Giovanosi, she's moving out of the district for work, which means she can't continue as a board member. She says she'll miss being a part of the district.
One of the most unexpected experiences that I had as a board member was the inspiration that I took from all the professionals in the district, from the superintendent down to the cabinet, down to school leadership and teachers. Such an amazing, inspiring group of committed professionals who really do so much.
Her message to the board going forward is to continue the collaborative environment that helped the district find successes throughout her tenure. Thank you to both Michelle Giovanosi and Rosemary Fryer for their work helping kids. For cooks, the Thanksgiving holiday is one of the biggest days of the year, and at Fort Vancouver High School, the Culinary Arts program prepares kids for future careers and in an annual tradition for Thanksgivings to come. Amanda Richter joins us now with more. Amanda.
Thanks. Before the big day arrives, Fort's future chefs work together to make a massive meal. Turkey, dressing, and all the fixings, made by and for students. The kitchen classroom at Fort Vancouver High School is buzzing. If you didn't know these were students, you'd swear you were behind the scenes at a busy restaurant. On the menu today, a full Thanksgiving spread. Turkey, 2 kinds of dressing, mashed potatoes, several desserts, the works.
I love this event. It gives us a break from our normal. It takes them and puts the responsibility on them because they're feeding themselves. So the ultimate critic is them. I mean, if they mess up the mashed potatoes, well, who made the mashed potatoes? You made the mashed potatoes, you know what I mean?
Students lived up to the challenge.
It was really hard because it was a lot of miscommunication, a lot of people just getting stressed out. But we all worked together, we all pitched in, and we got it together.
Gabriel hopes to be a chef someday. He already works as a line cook at the Wild Fin restaurant at the waterfront, and he can see how his training here is helping him at work.
Things of like cross-contamination and sanitation, cooking techniques, they all follow through.
He and the other students had a hand in menu planning, did virtually all the cooking, and lucky for them, all the eating. Gabriella was surprised at her favorite course.
I'm not really into vegetables, but somehow I actually liked it. I'm not gonna say that I didn't like it, but I loved it. Like, it was really good.
Gabriel loved the gravy because he helped make it.
You have to make your roux with the butter and flour, and then you add your stock or your heavy cream, or from the fat like we use our turkey drippings to add more flavor. Then cook it till it's thick enough. Then we put it through a super fine strainer called a chinois.
The memory of this event is one that Fort students hold on to.
We get phone calls, we get emails for kids that have been here 4 or 5 years ago that are like, do you have this recipe? And it's the best compliment ever because if 4 years out of high school or 5 years out of high school, you still remember this class and what we've done our job.
And in the true spirit of Thanksgiving, as much as students are learning about cooking, this meal is about connecting with one another.
You got kids that will have a big family Thanksgiving, and you have some kids that honestly will go through the drive-thru for Thanksgiving. And for some of them, this is a family Thanksgiving.
This does mean a lot to me because this is a family to me. Like, this group of people is a family to me.
All of the dishes were pretty great, but if you ask our crew, the 2 dressings were the best, really moist and flavorful. Now, if you want to sample some of the cuisine that the culinary arts students produce, they do catering throughout the year for school district and other public events. Back to you.
Pretty incredible. Well, a VPS employee is being recognized for her work in the community. Carla Feltz is the school district's community outreach and engagement coordinator, connecting families, schools, nonprofits, businesses, and social services, all to help kids do better in the classroom. Carla is also one of 17 members of the Kaiser Permanente Thriving Schools 2019 Honor Roll. She and the other winners were selected for their commitment to sustainable, healthy school environments. It's time now for our snapshot profile, a look at the people who make Vancouver a great place to learn. Our focus today is on a Columbia River senior who is attempting to make history on the tennis court and is preserving history in our community. Joining us now to share his story is Elena Buller. Elena?
Wilson Keller has found a lot of success here on the tennis courts at Columbia River High School. He recently won the league and district singles titles, and he has state to look forward to this spring. But Wilson would prefer that the spotlight stayed on the heroes who have served our country and haven't received their dues.
He looks like a nice guy, but Wilson Keller is pretty fearsome on the tennis court.
So I won both the league title and the district title.
Okay, Wilson is a nice guy. Just ask his coach.
To tell you what his teammates think of him, both his junior and senior year, he was voted the most inspirational player on the team, and that was by his teammates.
He worked hard to get to this position with a chance to win the 2A singles state title in May.
Well, state's in 7.5 months, so it's kind of weird for the tennis program to do that. So over the break, I'll be playing tournaments, going to lessons and things like that, so it'll be a grind.
Wilson's used to grinding. In September, he completed a project to become an Eagle Scout, an arduous process that few students complete.
I did my Eagle Scout project was for the Buffalo Soldiers. It was a bench and panel to memorialize both an African-American veteran named Willie Morehouse, who served at the Historic Reserve. He was a POW guard, and to honor the Buffalo Soldiers' involvement in Vancouver in their time in the early 1900s.
Buffalo Soldiers were African-American soldiers who mainly served in the western U.S. They were segregated from white troops, and although they served with honor, their legacy has often been overlooked. Wilson saw a presentation about Buffalo Soldiers in Vancouver, and he found his Eagle Scout project.
After I saw that presentation, I thought that representation was needed for them.
He raised $5,000 to install the memorial at the Fort Vancouver National Historic Site.
I got to meet many interesting people. Through that project, I was able to kind of grow my leadership skills especially.
At a ceremony in September, Wilson was joined by the mayor, the superintendent of the Fort Vancouver Historical Site, and local members of the Buffalo Soldiers Cavalry Association, a nonprofit devoted to preserving the soldiers' history. With the project completed and just a few months left in his senior year, he can finally start thinking about what comes after high school. But first, a little tennis.
It took a lot of determination for Wilson to finish this project. Not only did he have to raise money for the memorial, but he had to get the National Park Service, the city, and multiple Native American tribes to say okay. As for tennis, he hopes to make a little history himself. The state championships are in May. Back to you.
All right, we'll be wishing him good luck. Thank you so much, Elena. Well, young artists competed in a poster contest with some pretty cool prizes, including lunch at the fire station. And for the winner, turns out this sort of thing runs in the family. Our Nick Vole has that story.
Families and school staff eat McDonald's at the Clark County Fire District 6 station in Hazeldale.
Happy Meals for all the kids. and the adults. So I haven't had a Happy Meal in a long time.
They're all here to honor student artists who made fire safety posters for a contest sponsored by the Hazeldale Salmon Creek Business Association. 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders submitted their posters, and the winners are here to collect their prizes.
For a 3rd, 4th, or 5th grader to have their artwork hanging somewhere and getting recognition for it, well, I mean, that's just something really nice. It's something really good that kids will really like. It's a memory.
One by one, they're called to the front. Savannah Bennett from Sarah J. Anderson Elementary was confused.
She didn't hear her name with the 3rd graders. She was like, oh no, they forgot me.
But then,
Savannah Bennett.
I was like, huh?
she was named Grand Prize winner, earning a $100 Target gift card for herself and $200 in art supply money for her school. This was a contest close to the heart of Savannah's mom, Holly.
I was pretty excited when she came home to tell me that they were doing it again in 3rd grade, because I won when I was in 3rd grade. I went to Hazeldale Elementary at the time.
That's right, 2 winners in one family. The contest was to promote fire safety, and in the Bennett family, it worked.
I think it's awesome because actually before that we hadn't really talked much about it with the kids, and so we were actually able to, we practiced going out the windows and showed the kids how to get out, so it was a good idea.
Always be safe, never ever play with fire, and make sure you get out of the house very quickly.
It's a safety lesson and a fun day at the fire station that Savannah, her family, and all of the other young artists will never forget.
Several businesses contributed to the contest and event, and this is just one of a number of community events put on by the Hazeldale Salmon Creek Business Association throughout the year. Time for the big picture, our favorite image from social media. And this one is an awesome trick basketball shot at Skyview High School. The Our Time Storm Nation Twitter account posted this backwards half-court shot video. They didn't say the name of the student who made the shot, so we can't share that with you, but it is pretty amazing nonetheless. Speaking of basketball, VPS Game Time, the district's sports broadcasting program, has a full slate of boys and girls games this winter, including Skyview's. You can find that schedule on the district website. Let's take a look now at what's happening in Vancouver Public Schools, and this month, winter break looms large. The last day of school in December is Friday the 20th. Winter break stretches all the way into early January this year, with the first day back at school set for January 6th. And that is it for us. We hope you had a wonderful holiday break, and we will see you in the new year. For Nick Vole, Tara Cox, Amanda Richter, and Elena Buller, I'm Coleen Jamison, and thank you so much for watching Inside Vancouver Public Schools.